Today is March 8th. It is 6:32 p.m. March 8th, 2021. And I call the Village of Homer Planning Board meeting to order. Under old business, we have the application for site plan review for Dollar General Homer DG LLC. I'm going to just jump out of sequence here for a minute, Joan, and go to approval of the minutes. And I'm going to request a motion to approve the minutes of January 11, 2021. Would someone make that motion, please?
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Mike, thank you. Second?
I'll second that. Sorry, I was trying to unmute.
Okay, Ashley, second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Except the ones that weren't at the meeting, they need to abstain.
Right, Jessica, you have to abstain because you weren't at the meeting.
Yeah.
I'll abstain.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, let's go back. Under our agenda, we have the review of county planning response items not cleared in the previous meeting. And on my notes, based on the minutes, I just want to review a couple of things. Find the minutes. Got too many packets of paper here. One was Mr. Coughlin stated that a 7-foot fence is appropriate. It is a clarification of what happened at that meeting. Is that correct, sir?
That was me trying to summarize where everybody ended up. And I think that's where kind of the board and the applicant had come to that consensus.
Right. Okay. I just want to be sure that we're okay with that.
And Don, if I may,
Yes.
there was a small update to that as of today. The applicant was able to speak to the neighbor per, I think it was Mr. Pollock's suggestion.
Yes.
And the neighboring property owner would prefer to not have the fence run along the side of their property. They would prefer to have landscaped evergreens running along. And then at the point where the concrete entrance to the side of their garage is, if you'll remember, there's a kind of a garage bay on the side there. They would prefer the fence to begin at the end of that. And my understanding is that we put together some plans that show that difference. And so effectively that 7-foot fence would start where their garage door ends and run back along. And then when at the driveway, there will be a gap. And then from the edge of the driveway to the property entrance, there will be evergreens per the neighbor's request.
Okay.
As long as
June?
that's acceptable to the board.
Okay. Anybody have any comments on that on the board?
Yeah, yes, I think that's great that you spoke to them and that they are talking with you to resolve their concerns. I actually was caught by surprise today when I looked at the landscaping plan. Not a surprise really that something new, but questioning why something couldn't be different. If you look at your landscape plan, you had the fence right up along the property line 1 foot in, which was quite a bit in their face. Now you're going to have just plants there. The arborvitae is 7 feet apart, which is a lot better, and they can see through it for the years and see the cars. So the question I had actually, why was the fence on the line? Because you've got all that landscaping before the driveway starts. I don't know how many feet that is. So you could have really split it, and they would have had the fence not in their face, which is not an issue now, which is great. But now the question is, how about planting the arborvitae down the middle of that no man's land? Actually, I have a property joining a neighbor that has a gully in between, and we've always talked about putting arborvitae or something like that, shrubs right down the middle. It would be more attractive. It wouldn't be so constraining to that property, perhaps.
Yeah, this is Dan Griffiths talking. We put in junipers is what they're called, so the deer don't eat them. So
Okay.
that's what's proposed, just so you know. And they're
Okay,
attractive,
yeah.
just like anything else. They're evergreen.
Right. Right, I remember you now. So yeah, what is your reaction to the suggestion of moving it away from their house a little bit and putting that road down on a diagonal from right down between the property line and your driveway? Sort of like that they're in the grass area, and as they grow, they'd be more in the grass area, and they wouldn't have to be trimmed back to that person's driveway, because that driveway there is right up against those junipers, actually.
Kirk, that's up to you. I think when we first started this, they were talking about a privacy fence, period. And there wasn't a lot of room for both, but I don't know if you want to add to that, Kirk.
Yeah, if the question is, can we kind of rotate the angle to follow the angle of our driveway pavement? Yeah, there's no problem with that, if that's what's being asked.
I think it'd be look less like a border and more like landscaping, so that they are in that grass area. So
Agreed. Yeah, no, that's totally fine to us.
And since both driveways kind of run at the same angle, I think aesthetically it would make more sense too. That's a good point, Mike.
Okay. Anybody, any other questions?
with regards to landscaping, or?
Well, particularly with the fence and the landscaping at this
Oh,
point.
yeah, I want clarification. So the junipers will be like 7 feet apart, starting near the front there and working their way back now in the middle of that landscaped area, the grass area. And they would stop before the bay there. And then the fence would start beyond that, or the fence and the arborvitae would start beyond that? Can you repeat what?
Yeah, the current plan is to have the junipers running, and they're 7 feet tall and 2.5 feet apart, I think.
Oh, nice.
Dan, correct me if I'm wrong on that. I'm not the best at reading engineered drawings.
At full growth, correct.
Okay,
Nice.
at full growth. And then the junipers will stop at the concrete garage bay, and then the fence will start at the end of the garage.
Start at the end of the garage. Fence will start at the end of the garage, right?
Yep.
Fence starts. And then what about the junipers? Do they come back on in there where the fence is, or nothing?
I don't think so, because there was the existing wood fence back there. And then the junipers would restart again on the back side.
Okay, so after the garage bay, it's just the wooden fence. Wonder if that wouldn't, yeah, okay, that wouldn't, right, you have it on the property line. I mean, you still could also split that green area, continuing with the line of the junipers, but whatever. And no junipers, and then the junipers start at the back side of the fence in the back of the house.
Yeah, it's kind of in the,
Go ahead.
oh, I was going to say, it's kind of in the middle of the property line there.
Where?
And I don't have their name in front of me. Is it the Whitties?
Withy.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Withy. Okay. So there's the garage, and then if you kind of follow the garage line back, then the junipers would start again in the middle of the Withy property. And around the corner, there was no planned junipers, because there was more space for a green area in between the pavement and the fence.
I am lost, I'm sorry.
No problem. So if you're going in the driveway, we're settled that we've got the junipers running until the garage bay. Then we've got the garage bay. At the end of the garage bay, we've got the fence starting. It runs along to the corner. It makes the turn. And then about halfway through the Withy's property, the junipers would start again where the parking spaces start, so that it can act as an extra block to the light that could potentially be there.
No. So there's no fencing behind the parking where the cars are parked? Just the
Nope, there
juniper-
is.
There is.
Junipers and fence, excuse
Oh,
me.
I got it. That's what you actually have drawn here. Yes, I understand.
Yes,
Exactly.
And the junipers are on the Withy side of the fence, isn't according to
They're,
this.
they're between the fence and the property line.
Yes,
Yeah.
just like you show. Yeah, okay.
Yep.
And so have you made an arrangement for that so that they would have access to their garage?
I think it's going to be the current existing, that they'll have that same access that they have currently.
They insist on it being in writing, or it's just okay? An oral agreement?
I don't believe there's any agreement in writing. It's where it is.
Did you orally have an agreement with them? Did you let it be known what the situation is, or where is it?
Yeah, there's an oral agreement, just like there was before. Yes, sir.
Okay. The other thing that you, Mr. Coughlin, you had said you would provide elevation and
Chief, you said you're a diverse police department, and I just wonder, how do you define diverse? I'm sorry to say I don't know everybody on the force. So
Feels like someone needs to mute themselves.
who is speaking?
What kind of breakdown?
There, I took care of it.
Okay, thanks, Dan. Okay, elevations, I don't know if everybody got I picked up some stuff at the town hall today of the new elevations of the facade, front facade of the building. And actually all four views. Those, I think, addressed a lot of the concerns that were expressed before. I don't know, if everybody got those or not. Mike, did you get those?
Mike, you're muted.
You're muted, Mike.
Yeah, I received them, and they're in response to the concern I raised and others raised about the way it looks, and they put a gable on it, and that sure is appreciated. That looks a lot better, a lot more in keeping with the village. Ashley, have you seen it?
Yep, I have it right in front of me. I still
Okay.
think it needs to be improved, Mike. It does not fit with our village. I don't know if we need to, I see that you have some stone. It just looks like a typical Dollar General building with a warehouse. I'm not impressed with it. I think it needs to be nicer.
Okay, and then the last one that you had mentioned, Mr. Coughlin, was SWIP and Seeker updated. And Seeker, did you submit a new Seeker, updated Seeker for today?
We had a seeker we submitted back with this whole package with all the responses. It was all part of an attachment to answer all of Tim's questions, the county questions, and everybody's questions all in one big email. And it did have the seeker comments addressed in it. That's why we put it all together.
And I did also reference it in my last email letter that the EAF had been updated with the things I had indicated were incorrect. So the seeker form has been redone, and I think it's accurate.
In the Seeker form, I don't recall us going through and doing the short form Seeker or the long form.
To date, it hasn't been done, at least to my knowledge.
Okay, all right. That's what I wanted to clarify now. So Tim, that you did the SWIP, but not the Seeker. Am I correct?
No, I looked at the seeker form as well, and I sent my comments in on that this morning.
Okay,
In the original letter, I had some issues with some of the way the statements were made. but they've corrected those, and I indicated that in my letter this morning. And there's also a copy of that appended to my letter report.
Yes,
It's buried in the back of it.
okay, you engineers.
That's
don't
all we
have
do is
very-
all we do is generate paperwork. That's what we're good at. So
You don't bury in dirt, you bury them in paperwork, right?
yeah.
Let me see here. Okay, short form EAF was completed. Okay, we have not done the part 2 of that. And my question now for Dante, is a short form appropriate, or do we need to do the long form?
I'm still looking for that email from Tim. Tim, you said you sent that this morning?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Did it go through the village? Either Dan or Tanya? Could one of you forward that to me? I don't.
It went to Dan, I think. I'm pretty sure.
I'll send it to you, Dante.
Perfect.
And that was an older email from Griffiths Engineering that had the response to my first comment letter, as well as the response to some of the county comments. And they redid the EAF in that as well.
Okay. I'll look for that.
So that was the part 1 that you looked at, that they supply.
Yep.
What changes did you ask them to make?
They had the total disturbance area incorrect. They had the some of the stormwater discharge. They indicated it wasn't going to a public conveyance, and it was the DOT culvert. Pretty minor things, actually. But.
Okay.
Okay, so Joan, did you get this packet or no?
I have their part 1 of the long form.
The
part
short
one of the
form,
long-
probably.
And I also have part 2 that needs to be completed, or I also have the short form, whatever your board requires. I have a copy here.
Okay, well, in today's packet that Tim sent us, there is, it's a short, their short environmental part 1, and it's dated 1/18/2021.
No, I don't have that.
Okay. So, Dan Egner, can you forward that to Joan, please?
Sure will.
Thank you.
That was also sent to the village on the 18th of January, I believe, or shortly thereafter.
It was passed around. We can pass it again. No worries.
Okay.
Into your inbox, Joan.
I have Tim's revised letter of March 8th. I got that today.
That EAF form is in the attachment to that.
Yeah, well, not to mine it isn't.
Yeah, it is.
Where's the back, Joan?
Way in the back. Way in the back.
It ends with Kyle Peterson's,
Foreman.
Kyle Poorman's letter, which is, no, that's a. It's not here. It's just your letter. Ends with Timothy C. Buell.
There should be,
Check your inbox now, Joan.
should be a whole bunch of stuff after that.
Yep.
If you send it to me, I'll print it off.
Okay. All right, now,
Don, I do have a question about snow. I don't know where it fits into this conversation. I think the county brought it up, snow storage and how it affects, we counted into the drainage. And I was wondering if Tim looked at that, and I don't know if this is the right time to bring that up or not.
Yeah, typically we count, because it's a delayed thing, it doesn't really add to the peak flows because it takes a long time for it to melt. So more importantly is the runoff from spring storms and frozen conditions, which these folks have addressed. But the snow melt from the piles usually is a gradual thing over, you've seen it in the springtime when the parking lots are draining off. So I think we got to be careful not to plug up any of the catch basins and inlets with it, which you got to push out the piles past all that stuff. But otherwise, I don't think it's really an impact to have the piles melting in addition to the rain for the stormwater events.
Will they melt like underneath the back line, underneath the fence from the withies? And because that backyard of theirs has always been wet when it's runoff. Will that pile back there and the other pile to the north, will they drain into that parking area and then exacerbate the drainage into their backyard and make it soaky?
I don't think so, because it kind of goes towards the northwest where the low area is for the big depression back there. So if that big depression filled up with runoff from up on the hillside, it would have the potential for that. But the model doesn't show that really happening. So as I interpret it. So the runoff from the snow piles would not go into the backyards, but rather towards the northwest. Dan, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure, or Alex, I think that's pretty much the way it was sloped.
Correct. I have to head into a meeting and I have Chris Stasny on the cover for me as well. Okay, I'll be back on as soon as I get out of this other meeting. So Chris Stasny from our office will be listening in and answering any questions.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, they have all our responses, and I went through everything with Tim today on what he wanted. So thank you. I'll be back in touch as soon as I'm out.
Okay. One thing that came up, I don't know where, but I guess in another, a ZBA case, a 7-foot fence will require a variance. The standard in the village is 6 feet. Anything over 6 feet requires a variance. So if this site plan is approved with a 7-foot fence, you still would have to get a variance to approve it. This board cannot approve that.
Can
Okay.
I was just thinking that the reason for the 7-foot fence is from looking at the property from the dining room window there, and they don't want that now. So what's the need for a 7-foot fence around their property and back? I mean, the headlights are going to be blocked with a 6-foot fence just as well as a 7-foot fence. And on the side there, sitting there looking towards the building, I don't think that that foot looking up is going to make a big difference. So maybe they don't really care what goes on back there. I don't see the need for it. I mean, it's just more of a built into like a prison type of thing in the front. It was a big deal because of visually trying to block much of the building. Maybe.
Yeah, we're fine with the 6-foot fence. It's not a problem.
So let's poll the board here. Should we change that to a 6-foot fence on Withy's property?
As it runs from the garage back into the backyard.
Back and across the back of their property.
And there are trees in front of it as well, 7-foot trees.
I think they need that fence to defer the noise.
Okay, anybody else?
And the looks of the ugly building.
Well, it doesn't, well, I mean, from when you sit in the backyard and then looking at the building to the south, that's what you're thinking.
Yes, absolutely. That's their whole new neighbor. That's their new view.
Paula or Jessica, anything to add?
I think it should be 7 foot, but I mean, again, I think that's a neighbor's call. They're the one that's going to have to look at this regardless.
So
I mean, especially if there's a 7-foot tree and a 6-foot, I don't know. I would say 7 feet.
Okay, Mr. Coughlin, you okay with 7 foot and going for a variance?
Kirk, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we're good with whatever height the village thinks is appropriate, and we'd be happy to apply for a variance as a condition of site plan approval.
Okay,
That's correct.
okay. That looks like whatever we had from the previous meeting. As far as county planning response. Now, we got a new, oh boy. The new county planning report dated February 12th. They have a strange way of doing things. They do the review and then they issue their summary of, bear with me while I find it.
We have the
My
board's
desk isn't
report.
big enough.
You have the board's report and the two entities.
The resolution, we've got the board report and the resolution.
Okay, the resolution is from the board.
Right. And everybody should have, I believe everybody on our board should have gotten that resolution 21-02. Did you get that?
No, mine is 20-24. I never got the county report.
Don, I have a quick question for the Dollar General team. Wondering if there's any other plans any other exterior plans for the looks of the building. Is there any other prototypes that you guys have available? Because don't think it fits in with a historical village. You realize that we're a historical quaint village where they compare us to the Norman Rockwell. This is a warehouse to me.
Kirk, I'll defer to you on that.
Yeah, I mean, this is a much more upgraded building than what would typically be proposed. Usually it would be ephes and metal, and we fully, provided the gable, the hardy plank, et cetera, which is above and beyond.
Well,
So
I think, what's that?
Oh, I was just going to say, so I think, the applicant's proposed design of the building is as it stands.
I just don't think it fits with our historical village, so.
Okay. Ashley, do you have resolution 21-02 from county planning?
That came, I don't know when it came, did it come today, but it wasn't the packet.
I'm just
that,
pulling it
I
up on
got
my
from the
iPad
village.
now. Bear with me 1 second.
Okay.
It was near the end of that packet, 8.5 by 11 sheets.
It looks like it's pretty much the same as what there are 10 recommendations. It looks pretty much the same as what came out of their discussion, but not a resolution back in November, maybe.
Right.
You have that, Mike?
Yes, I do. It came today. Or
Don, this is what I'm looking at.
Okay, but this is just a 2 8.5 11 sheets. It says at the top right corner, resolution number 21-02 on motion of Paul Dries, seconded by Lori Comfort. I thought I forwarded that stuff.
You did.
Yep, I got it.
I also have it.
You do, okay. And I think,
Don, I think I'm looking at it. I'm still not impressed. If that's what the answer is, that's what you guys want.
Well, the first one is that if the site restrictions do not allow for the relocation of the driveway entrance and driveway to the south of the property, the delivery times are restricted to daytime hours, and that landscape screening be installed in addition to the proposed privacy fence. And the landscape screening and fencing is thoroughly reviewed by the village to ensure that provide adequate screening from the noise and visual intrusions from the proposed business. 2, the applicant obtains approval of the driveway entrance to the site from NYS DOT as Southwest Street is a state highway. That's been taken care of. That was taken care of early on. 3, that DOT reviews a traffic study prepared for this site and provides written confirmation that 281 can annually handle the anticipated increase in traffic that this proposed use would generate. That's been taken care of. 4, the applicant filing a notice of intent with the DEC that it would be subject to all DC stormwater permit regulations. If it's determined more than 1 acre of land will be disturbed as a result of the project, that also has happened. That the applicant obtains approval for any proposed stormwater discharge into the Route 281 drainage system from DOT. I believe that has happened. Is that correct, Tim?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
We're waiting for, they already got an approval, but since the drainage area changed, I asked Griffiths to recontact the DOT to make sure that they're happy with the revised SWIP plan. It's the same amount of discharge the way they set it up, but I just wanted DOT to be aware that the actual drainage basin area had increased significantly. So.
Okay, so that's.
But they've already, it's already been accepted on the previous iteration, and it's the same discharge basically. It's just a bigger area feeding into it. Now they had to jump through hoops to make it work.
So we're waiting for DEC approval on that yet?
No, what happens is they file the NOI and certify that it meets the criteria. And that's pretty much an automatic process unless there's a reason for it to be reviewed.
Correct. We had the DEC approval. I think what he's saying is DOT is just going to recheck the drainage just to confirm the initial approval does not change. So it's basically a letter of no objection to the revised drainage.
Yeah.
When will we hear on that?
As soon as we were requested, I guess it was Friday or earlier this morning, we asked DOT. We expect that, as soon as they get to it. They were quick on the traffic study, so it should be quick.
All right.
Yeah, I don't think there'll be any issue based on the way that the numbers are the same, basically going into the culvert for the DOT. So it shouldn't be an issue with them.
That's correct.
Okay. And number 6 was the applicant obtains village approval of the final design of the SWIP design plan, including stormwater capture. I'm not going to read the rest of this. That's been taken care of. You looked at that, right, Tim?
Yes, that's correct. I'm satisfied after we had a lot of back and forth on it. There are a lot of changes and upgrades made, and they've answered all our questions. Even as lately as this morning, they added a couple of things that we had asked for that were missing. So I'm happy with it.
Number 7 is the applicant obtaining approval of the landscaping plan for the site from the village. And
Well, they said they had a verbal agreement, but I don't think that's, I would say no.
Well, the landscaping plan is the trees and green space design that you guys are subject to the site plan review. So they're just kind of pointing out that, for you guys to have that conversation with us, like Mike's suggestion earlier, to change the angle and location of those junipers is at least what I interpreted their request as.
okay. All right. Number 8 was that all site.
So no.
What is your objection, Ashley, on that one?
So we haven't approved what the landscaping, what they're proposing. So that's a no.
Well, right. The landscaping plan would be reviewed as part of the whole site plan review from this board. There is no approval just yet. It'd be when your board approves the site plan itself. It would be the landscaping plan is included.
Part of it.
And whatever objections we have to the landscaping plan, we have to voice them and have them corrected before we approve it. So I'm gonna quote the press secretary for President Biden. We'll circle back to that one. Number 8, that all site lighting be directed in a downward manner as not to infringe on neighboring properties with no light emanating greater than 1 foot candle at the property line. And Tim, did you review that?
Yep,
Is that-
it's all downcast, it even shows up in the renderings, so even the sconce lights and things, they're all directed downwards. Like, I had a little trouble seeing it at first, and they went back and made them larger so this old guy could read it and make sure he had them all, so.
They give you a magnifying glass?
Yeah.
So it's taken care of.
Yeah.
And the applicant obtains approval of public water and sewer connections. That would be taken care of at the construction phase. And then 10 is compliance with seeker requirements. Okay, we have not done and I go back now to Dante. Is this a short form part 2, or do we have to go long form?
Well, you guys are gonna have to make a determination on the board on a number of things. I think you guys have already taken lead agency under seeker for the site plan review, and Dan or Tanya, correct me if I'm wrong on that. But yeah, you're going to.
Dante, not to interrupt you, but I think we all agreed that we wanted the village to be the lead agency. Joe, and I'm sure you have the notes on that.
That was for the subdivision.
Yeah, that was for the subdivision. This is for the site plan review, and they kind of work a little bit in conjunction with each other. And there are actually a number of items that are, outstanding. I was just making notes when Don was going through that list, but right now we're talking about seeker for the site plan review. So you're going to have to make a determination what type of action it is and what's appropriate as far as the board is concerned, as far as the environmental review process for that.
Dante, help me out a little bit here. What's our litmus test for?
It's an unlisted action. It's not a type 1 action because it doesn't disturb. I don't have the exact numbers for a type 1 action, but it's an unlisted action, so it falls a little bit in the gray zone, which is why you guys are going to have to make a determination based on a number of things: the applicant's short form EAF that they submitted, the review that you've done under the stormwater prevention plan, as well as the site plan that they've submitted themselves.
And I think Don's question is good. I still need a little bit more help with the threshold. What is it? I stepped out for a moment. So there's the short environmental assessment form, part 2, impact assessment. We could do that. Or there's something else, the long form?
There's a long form. It's about, well, the first one I have is 13 pages. And there's more to it than that, I think.
What's 13 pages?
Full environmental assessment form.
Is 13 pages?
Yes, sir.
I'm sure.
Just for reference, the type 1 threshold for non-residential projects is physically altering 10 or more acres of land and or zoning changes affecting 25 or more acres. So this isn't a zoning change, but it is a non-residential project. So it's physically altering 10 acres would trigger the type 1 threshold automatically.
And so we're not there.
Right, it's an unlisted action, pretty clearly. Thank you for that threshold, Keegan.
Dante can correct me if I'm wrong. Normally they'll do a short form, and the answers that you give on the short form can trigger the long
Right.
form.
That's what I gathered, right. Right, but, so it wouldn't automatically go to a long form because it doesn't do, affect more than 10 acres or requires 25 acre zoning, correct? So the procedure is to do the short form, and if there's some major issues there, we might trigger a long form, but
Okay, that's what I want to know. That's why I'm asking the question so that we do it right. So,
But you should have a motion for making you lead agency, your board, so that you can do this.
I believe we designated ourselves lead agency back.
yeah, in the beginning.
Yes, you did.
Yeah,
Beginning, okay.
yeah, in like November, I think that's what I'm referencing. But
Right. I agree.
Just don't want to get mixed up with the one where you recommended that the village board act as lead agency.
Right.
That village board is lead agency on subdivision.
Uh-huh.
So this is strictly on the site plan review.
Okay,
Okay. We have
is that what you want to do?
yes,
Would you like me to read the questions?
yes.
And does Dan have a form, or do you have a form you
I
can
have a-
fill out?
I have a blank form right here, ready to fill out.
Okay, then I will read them and your board can answer. Number 1 of the short environmental assessment form, part 2. Will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulations?
No.
Number
Can't
2,
be.
will the
I almost want to say yes.
it's going to be no or small impact or a moderate or large impact.
Yeah, I have to explain from my experience. I don't know if Don was on here, but if we indicate any negative impacts or major impacts, small impacts or moderate impacts, we have to justify every one of them. We have to write up what the reason is behind us. So it's not just an opinion. We were sued once for this, or at least once, for doing this, and the court threw it out and told us we had to go back and do it the correct way, which was to justify each
Right.
statement. So what we need to do is, if we're prepared, we need to be prepared to justify it.
Yeah, I want to correct you a little bit, Mike. If you indicate no or small impact, which is one box, then then that's it. You don't have to explain a small impact. But if it's moderate to large, then you do.
Yes, thanks, Joan. That's what I had in mind, and you explained it right.
Thank you, Joan. So I want to say small impact then.
Okay,
Okay.
we're agreed.
Number 2, will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use of the land?
It'd be small, in my opinion.
I think it's big in my opinion.
So what we would need to, well, it depends. What do we do, Don? Do we vote on each one of these lines, or how do we do that?
No, we're gonna have to vote on them.
If you don't agree, then you better vote.
Okay, so
Okay.
on that one, my question would be to Ashley, will the proposed action result in a change in the use of intensity of use of land? So certainly it does, because we're putting something in there which replaces the ice cream stand, and some days it will be more and some days it'll be less. But is that a small impact, or the traffic study says that it doesn't have a large impact? So if we say it's going to be moderate or large, it would have to be based on that this traffic study indicated that it's going to be a large impact on the land use.
I think it'll definitely be a large impact. It's year round. But our little ice cream store was a few months out of the year. This is year round. It's affecting the traffic. It definitely has a large impact. Paula, do you agree?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely a large impact. There's no way that has the same traffic flow than that little ice cream stand. Absolutely not.
But it doesn't have to have the same, it just has, the question is it a
John,
change in
it'll,
the,
or Mike, it'll definitely be more.
right,
Is it
so,
small or moderate? No or small impact, our choices are no or small impact or moderate to large impact.
I would say it's a moderate to large impact.
Moderate to large, definitely.
let me put something else in light what these people are gonna come back to us with. We didn't put moderate or large for Burn Dairy or any of the other, I can't remember what the other, what is the other, Don, the other recent development that might have been
Mike,
there?
their uses are different. That's actually a local business. And it's gas, it's right there sidewalks that the kids can go there. I mean, it's a totally different, this is a
Right.
dollar store. I don't know if you guys have driven past the 15 we have in town, but
I-
it's junk. We're a historical town. We need to,
We're
stand up
talk-
for what we want in this town.
Right, but this isn't a place where we can say we don't want the porn shop. We don't want the Dollar General. This isn't the case. This is talking about intensity of land use, and the Burn Dairy has much more traffic than the Dollar General does. So the intensity is less for
I
this.
disagree because it's on the corner. I disagree. I'm sorry, Mike. I disagree with that.
These answers are pertaining to the environmental assessment.
Yes, right now there's beautiful green grass where the snowmobilers can pull up and go to a restaurant across the street. And now we're going to have a tan warehouse. That definitely has an environmental impact. We had beautiful green fields and now we will have a warehouse building.
So
That
we
will
have
be empty in 4 years, as you can see.
Okay, we need to decide on what we're gonna do. Is it small or moderate?
I have Ashley as large or moderate to large, and Paula is moderate to large.
Mike, you've got small to moderate?
Yeah, I have it's a small impact in relationship to the other programs activities that we put in that place over the years. I don't see how one could say that it's a moderate impact or large. I mean, it's a change. I agree with Ashley that it's a change. But in terms of intensity of proposed, the result of change in the use or intensity of the land, it is a change. But I don't put it over the threshold of moderate or large.
Joan, I'm still sticking to my moderate to large.
I've got you as moderate to large. I'm waiting for Mike
Jessica?
and Jessica.
Joan, you're not
I'm
waiting
go-
for? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna say, since I wasn't involved in the Burn Dairy project, that I see this as being moderate. Not necessarily large, but definitely more intense than what is there now.
Okay,
Can
one box is no to small. The other box is moderate to large.
So we've got 1, 2, 3 moderate to large.
If that's what Jessica wants, is moderate to large.
Okay, Jessica and Paula and Ashley are moderate to large.
Yes,
Mike?
No, I'm a small impact.
I got him as small. And you, Don?
I think it's going to be moderate, quite frankly.
Okay, so your answer for that one is
Maybe
moderate to large.
Moderate to large, yeah. Okay,
Now that we sweat that one out. 3, will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community?
Yes,
well, small,
absolutely.
We don't have yes or no's. We have no, small or moderate to large.
Moderate to large.
Moderate to large. The rest of the village would agree.
Yeah, I would agree too.
we got, what do we got, 3 or 4 now? Moderate to large.
I think we had 3, Don, me, Paula, and Mike.
And you,
Jessica?
Don? And
I'll go-
Jessica?
Yeah, I think it's moderate.
I would agree with that.
So you're all moderate to large.
All right.
Number 4, is that a critical environmental area? I don't think you have one there, do you?
No, we don't.
So that
No.
would be no. Number 5, will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkways?
Definitely.
Well, as I read these,
Smaller moderate. Let's,
I would
Moderate.
say it's definitely moderate. There's the, I'm going to go back to what I said the last meeting. They can have a traffic study and I get it with the cars, but their customer doesn't drive a car. They walk, they ride their bike. I see it every single day down Homer Ave. And I just think it's going to be, I think it's going to be bigger than, I think it's going to be a nightmare. So I definitely say moderate to large.
so I go by what the traffic study says. I say it's a small impact.
Jessica.
I'm going to say moderate.
So we got Jessica, Ashley, and Paula moderate. Mike and I are small.
I would just respectfully like to point out for the record that the walkways are actually going to be improved because there is going to be sidewalk where there was not prior.
What about Paula?
Sorry.
Paula?
It was me who was talking. It was me who's opened it up with the moderate to large with
Okay.
the walking, sidewalks, lighting, whole 9 yards.
Especially, I understand that you have the wider sidewalks going in, but it's a one-way, Keegan, it's one, so those cars are gonna have to wait for them to take a left-hand turn. I'm not a traffic study person either, but I can tell you it's not gonna be good.
Don, what's your vote?
We got, I've got a small impact, but we've got a 3-2, so it's a moderate.
If I can just, for the record, Jessica's, this is her first meeting attending on this project. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. I wasn't here for the very beginning, so I was just asking.
Yes, it is her first meeting, but it's no different than you not being here in the beginning.
And I have reviewed the information that I've been provided with.
No problem. I was just asking.
Okay.
Jessica, you were appointed. Didn't you sit in on the last meeting we had?
I was not available.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right.
Are you ready to proceed?
Let's go. Number 6.
Number 6, will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? That's small. No.
Small, I'm going to say small or small impact.
That is small.
It's small.
Small.
Paula?
Small, sorry.
Okay. Number 7, will the proposed action impact existing public or private water supplies?
No.
Be small.
Could possibly.
Oh, private
There
water.
isn't a possibly on the form.
No or small impact.
Okay, that's done.
And that's what I feel.
I guess low to whatever the small impact is. I mean, we don't really know.
They're gonna have a toilet or they're gonna have something to, never mind.
Well, the
Paula?
Paula?
Sorry. Yes, I would say small.
Okay. So you're all small or no or small impact. And now public and private wastewater treatment facilities.
No or small.
I agree.
Everybody agree
Can
with
you
that?
say that again, Joan?
will the proposed action impact existing public or private wastewater treatment facilities? Sewage.
I say
Small.
no.
No or small, yeah. Okay,
Does everybody say no or small?
yes.
Yes.
Okay. Number 9, will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources,
Skip one.
wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, and fauna?
Didn't we skip 8?
Yeah. Joan doesn't like 8, so she's gonna skip it.
We're going to skip it?
No, Joan, you gotta do 8.
I didn't hear you.
You have to do 8, number 8.
Oh, I didn't do 8?
No.
Okay. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources?
Absolutely, large, huge.
Well, I feel it's moderate, but it's same category.
I would say moderate as well.
Everybody moderate to large?
Are there
Yeah.
any, this site's outside the historic district, is that correct?
We still
Yes.
want our village to be beautiful.
It
Yes,
is outside the historic district.
it is outside of
I
historic.
don't care. I still want our village to be that adorable Norman Rockwell that brings all these people from Skinny Atlas and Rochester to come want to shop at our store, go to lunch, and really enjoy the town. So Dollar General, no. So I think it does.
Okay, what are we up to now? What numbers?
We're at number 8. Is it going to be no or small, or is it going to be large or moderate?
Mike, you said moderate?
Large.
Yes.
Large.
The large and moderate are the same box.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, Jessica,
Is everybody the same?
everybody agree it's moderate to large?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I'm using a lot of white out here. Number 9, Joan.
Okay, will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources, wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, and fauna?
I don't believe it's any more than small.
I'm gonna say small.
I'm gonna say moderate with the trucks coming in, all the carbon and that yucky stuff.
These are natural resources. Will have an adverse change to natural resources.
Yes.
Okay, what do we have here? Ashley's a moderate to large. Mike is a no to small. Paula,
I would say it's moderate.
okay. Jessica,
I'm gonna say it's small.
and I'm gonna say small. So that's a
We did that 3-2.
small, okay. Number 10,
Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems?
I'm gonna go no to small on that because we have a SWIP.
I agree. Let's thoroughly analyze that.
Ashley,
We wouldn't have a leg to stand on it now.
Yeah,
saying that-
I'm trying to, I'm worried about.
I'm gonna agree to the small because of that study.
okay. Paula,
I guess it is small.
Yeah, that was me who just said that about small.
Jessica?
Small.
So
Okay,
you're all the same.
we're all small.
Number 11, will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health?
Oh.
Small impact, no to small impact.
Yeah, I would agree.
This is Jessica. I'm going to say small as well.
Depends if you include psychological health for some of us.
Like the secretary. How about Paula?
I'll say small.
I will too, Joan.
Okay,
Okay, you are all that. So now, now comes the big one. For every question in part 2 that was answered moderate to large impact, or if there's a need to explain why a particular element of the proposed action may or will not result in a significant adverse environmental impact, please complete part 3. Part 3 should, in sufficient detail, identify the impact, including the measures or design elements that have been included by the project sponsor to avoid or reduce impacts. Part 3 should also explain how the lead agency determined that the impact may or will not be significant. Each potential impact should be assessed considering its setting, probability of occurring, duration, irreversibility, geographic scope, and magnitude. Also, consider the potential for short-term, long-term, and cumulative impacts. So that means you guys got to prepare a statement and respond to each one that had the moderate to large impact.
okay, the first moderate to large impact we had was, will a proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use of the land? And we voted in the majority said moderate to large. So what is our justification on that?
Don,
Well-
can you say that one more time?
Will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use of the land?
Well,
And
the intensity of the use, I mean, this is a seasonal ice cream shop and a car dealership that, I mean, the intensity is going to be way more than it is now. I mean, that's a given.
Paula, I
Yeah.
would say that the hours of operation are longer. They're more frequent. There's going to be more people visiting that more frequently. I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Just so you know, I think their hours were like 7 a.m. until 11 o'clock at night. So you're absolutely right. I just wanted to back you up on that.
Board, can I ask a question?
fire away.
Sure.
I was just wondering if there's any additional information that we would be able to provide regarding these specific concerns with the moderate to large impacts, and potentially table this until next month where we can provide more backup information for you and address any additional environmental concerns you might have.
Does anybody on the board have an objection to that?
No, I don't have an objection. I think tabling is a good idea to help see if we can clarify any of this, and help distinguish between small and moderate, or even large in some cases. I mean, clearly, all of us agree that 2 is at least have an impact, moderate impact, a small impact, but some people feel, the majority, that it's got a moderate to large. So if you could shed light on that, for example, as we go on, the same way with the other questions, you might be able to help us understand it better.
We would appreciate the opportunity to have that chance.
All right. You've heard, Mr. Coughlin, you've heard our arguments, our rationale.
Yeah.
If you have those, I would entertain a motion from this board to table the seeker assessment until the next board meeting. And at which time you will have provided us with clarification on all these, on these 4 particular moderate to large declarations. Is that all right? Is that agreeable with you?
Does that
That
mean
would be
that,
agreeable from my perspective.
does that mean that the board gets time to review and come up with the justifications too?
Yes. Yes, definitely.
Sure.
You know, that's,
Really what you should do, and Dante, I'm sure you can correct me, is you really should check the one box at the bottom that says if you've determined based on the information and analysis above and any supporting documentation that the proposed action may result in one or more potentially large or significant adverse impacts, and then an environmental impact statement is required. So Dante, do you check that first and give the applicant the chance to respond?
Well, we can go that route. I don't know. The board is sort of in a little bit of a standing till they, or there's a little bit of a, we need to make a determination of significance. If they're not willing to make a determination now, I guess we're just stopping that proceeding until next meeting. If the
Okay,
board
that's
wants to
fine.
make a determination of significance, that would be, you know, the next step in the process, Joan. But
Okay,
I don't know what the board wants to do, and I'm not trying to speak for the board and applicant. If you are going to stay this, I think you should work out some sort of an agreement where, you know, we halt the proceeding right here, and there's no real delay or you know, penalties for the board to delay any of the proceedings either, if we're at this stage.
Dante, by that you mean the what's in the code, the 20 days or whatever that is?
Yeah, I'd like to stay, you know, any time that that you need to come up with the explanation until that time.
Yeah, certainly as a contingency of you guys agreeing to tabling that, we would not try to hold your feet to the fire on any timeframes. I'd be happy to put that in writing for you or whomever.
I was just
You know,
gonna say that. We should put that in writing for sure.
Yep.
okay. All right, then I guess one other thing that I'd like to say is that the board members who have these misgivings, if you will, or these feelings about moderate to large impact, if you could write those down, email them to me, and I will forward those on to Mr. Coughlin. Let's say within the next, by the end of this week. And then Mr. Coughlin will have the clarifications on that and get them back to us in time for us to review them for 4 or 5 days before the next meeting. I'm
John,
really,
I'm heading out of town tomorrow, so I'd like 2 weeks if possible, because I'm heading out of the state tomorrow morning, if that's okay.
goodbye us.
okay.
One quick question, Don. Does the applicant then have the ability to also submit comments on these 4 questions for the board's review as well? I mean, in my experience, if you're taking a pause, then both sides can submit more information if they want to, and maybe they don't. I don't know. I haven't talked to them, so.
Well, I thought that's what the pause was for. It was for the applicant to.
And
Yeah,
the
that
board
was exactly
members?
my intent.
Okay, cool. All right.
So that, you know, they wanted to see what, it gives us time to formulate, and I don't like crafting something on the fly.
Yeah, I agree.
We know what we discussed, but without going back and taking the tape recording and writing it and transcribing it into the written questions, which we can do within the next few days, and get them to the applicant. And then the applicant will have a couple of days, have a week or two to look them over and get back to us with their clarifications, their feelings as to why it does or does not, they do not agree, or what they can do to remediate them.
Don, I've read the paragraph on top where short environmental assessment form, part 3, determination of significance, 3 or 4 times now, and I can't make heads or tails out of it. So
Well, it comes from Albany. What do you expect?
You experienced person, or Dan, or Mr. Coughlin, well, it's not his job, it's the board's job. Anybody, tell me what this says. We can read it out loud, sentence by sentence. I have no idea what it says.
Oh, I think I understand it, Mike.
Okay, I mean, the first phrase is clear for every question in part 2 that was answered, moderate or large may occur. Now the next one, or if there is a need to explain why a particular element of the proposed action may or will not result in a significant adverse environmental impact. Don't know what that phrase is. Why are we talking about ones that may or may not? Please complete part 3. I understand that. Part 3 should, in sufficient detail, identify the impact, including any measures or design elements that have been included by the project sponsor to avoid or reduce impacts. So that is, we are going to write this, and Mr. Coughlin is going to tell us why these things that he's proposing in 2 weeks or so, next month, are going to reduce it. So it has been included by the project sponsor to avoid or reduce the impact. So we have to write that up here. We're writing this, correct?
Yes.
And it's going to say what those, how he's tried to avoid or reduce the impacts. Part 3 should also explain how the lead agency, that's us, determined that the impact may or will not be significant. Okay, so we're going to say why we said it was a major or will not be significant. I don't know why we're not talking about not significant, because I thought what triggers it is that it's major or moderate. So why are we explaining it will not be significant? Each potential impact should be assessed considering its setting, probability of occurring, duration, irreversibility, geographic scope, and magnitude. I mean, that's what we're going to have to talk about, all those things, in order to justify our position of why it's like an intense thing. It's because of its setting where it's on 281, probability of occurring because so many people come there every day. You're going to come there until 10 o'clock at night. That's duration. Irreversibility, once you built it, you can't tear it down. Geographic scope, I don't know what that is, and magnitude in this case. Also consider the potential for short-term, long-term, and cumulative impacts. Right, so we're gonna say that since it's being built there, it's a permanent thing, it could be a long-term 20-year impact, not something that's gonna go away. So I understand that line.
I think, Mike, if you read the first sentence, it says, for every question in part 2 that was answered, moderate to large impact may occur. Forget about that, or if there is a need to explain, forget that part of it.
Okay,
There is
thank
no
you.
need to explain. A particular element of the proposed action may not significant environmental stuff.
I know, I have to take that out in order to make any sense. Keep going.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Again, this was done by somebody in Albany, probably who never turned a shovel of dirt in their life.
Okay, go on. Now, so we're gonna complete part 3 then. Part 3 should, in sufficient detail, identify the impact, including any measures or design elements that have been included by the project sponsor to avoid or reduce the impacts. So we'll describe what we see the impacts, and if we know how the project sponsor has tried to avoid them, we'll write that up as well.
Yeah, but I don't know how we know what the project sponsor has done.
Well,
We can only
he actually wants to come back in a month and tell us about each one of these things. He's going to tell us. That's the goal of coming back and telling us, he knows our concerns. He's gonna come back and tell us, well, we did this, we put a sidewalk in, we put a, you know, we did whatever, you know,
Yeah.
did a
Yeah.
traffic study.
I think if we boil it down to every question, part two answered, moderate to large impact, part three should identify the impact. And I have no idea what the applicant did to avoid or reduce those. We can explain how we determined that impact may or will not be significant. We're going to determine that we want to know why we determined that it may be significant or there will not be, you know. This is just, people probably just don't even fill this thing out in most cases. Timothy, speak up, please. You're unmuted.
You have to go through the checklist and the procedures. It's pretty standard, and you have to have justification for the decision.
Right.
Otherwise, you could be challenged with an Article 78. So I would, if you're going to make it significant, you have to do your homework and document stuff, and that's the bottom line.
Right. All this gibberish about not significant and what the applicant did, that doesn't make sense to me, nor does it to Mike.
If you think the applicant, like in the stormwater, the applicant did a good job in mitigating the potential impacts from that, okay? It's a major thing. And a lot of projects fail because they don't do that. The other issues are not quite as cut and dry physically and mathematically, like character of the neighborhood and substantial increase in assets. And those kind of things are a little tougher to describe, but I think you have to do your best to try to nail down specifics in it to justify your reasoning.
Well, my thoughts, Tim, are that if we go down through the ones with moderate to large impact and justify the reasonings why we marked those,
yep,
that should be sufficient. We got to go give them an attaboy for all the ones that we don't think are.
I don't think that's a requirement. I think list the justifications you have for filling out those 4 items and why, and then they can respond to those.
That's
arguments.
Yeah. And that's where I was going with this to begin with. Those 4, we would submit the justification. Ashley, Paula, Jessica, you, Mike, and me, write them down, and I'll forward them on to Keegan, and then DG people can review them and give us an answer. That's my.
I think that's a good approach.
Yeah, and this paragraph of stuff up above probably got changed 3 or 4 times, and nobody proofread it after they changed it. That's the way I see things happen all the time.
Well, I think the other thing is if you take something that you thought was moderate and large, and then based on the back and forth, you decide that it's only small to none are small, they want to know why you did that too.
Okay. But we do that.
That's done later after the response in the back. Yep.
All right. Okay. So as it stands now, we will hold off on doing anything on this.
You need a motion.
Can we have that in writing that Keegan said that we won't be penalized for tabling it today and coming back for another meeting?
I can send that to whoever needs to, because that would be totally unfair on our part to try to do that to you when we requested the table. So I'm happy to do that to whomever.
You just go ahead and send that to me, Keegan. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Dan.
Okay, can we can also incorporate that in a motion to table the completion of the short form part 2 impact statement to the next planning board meeting at the request of counsel for Dollar General, with the understanding that Dollar General will not try to enforce the 20-day or whatever the restriction in the zoning
They
law.
just grant your board an extension
What?
to make it shorter, to grant your board an extension.
All right, that's fine.
It really, lots of experience here. That'll be in the minutes that they agreed to do that. I've never had a motion that they agreed to do that, but it'll be in the minutes.
Well, I think the motion ought to be that upon request of the counsel for Dollar General, that we will table this.
Yeah, I'm gonna change it. I like to postpone. In order to table it, you can't bring it back without a vote.
All right, postpone it, whatever you,
And then you're
Whatever.
gonna do it to your next monthly meeting,
yes,
regular meeting?
yes, the next regular meeting. April, whatever it is. April
Hope it's
Fool's
not
Day.
April Fool's Day.
Do you think that gives us enough time, Don, to go over each?
Those four, I think so. April 12th.
Is that the second Monday?
Yes.
Okay, so I've got that and both things incorporated into one motion.
Okay. I don't know who's going to make that motion. You want me to make it?
Not really.
Okay.
I'll make it. This is Paula. I'll make it.
Joan, I'll approve it.
And you're second it?
Second it, I mean,
Okay, then you need a vote.
Paula,
I
Aye.
say, yes.
aye.
Ashley,
Aye.
Aye.
All in favor?
all in favor, aye. All right. If I have any hair left after the end of this proposal, I'm going to donate it to Mike Pollock.
Me
Thank you.
too.
Thank you.
I'll take some too, so.
Thank you.
There isn't that much. All
I
right,
can use every bit.
yeah. All right,
I have to hide my drink while I'm doing this meeting.
Double shot.
Yep.
Joan, thanks for keeping us all on top of the rules of procedure.
It's okay, Keegan. Gonna get, so I know you like a son.
you know, you don't want to be her son.
Why?
Oh.
Why? He's a politician.
He's a 30-year worker at Cornell University.
Yeah. Well, you did good on that one, Joan.
Yep.
Okay,
Okay, folks.
and
Night, Tim.
Night, Joan. Say goodnight to Fast Jack too. So,
I will.
Good night, Tim.
good night, guys. Thanks.
okay, night. So just
See you
recap
later.
for the board. You have my email address. Email me what you feel were the justifications on those 4 items. If you don't have that form, let me know and I can email you the one that I filled out and you can see what the questions are. Okay,
Don, can you please email me that form? This is Jessica.
okay,
Don, I'll take another copy too, please.
okay. Actually, what I'll do is I'll send you a blank. Then you'll have it and the filled out form. Mike, do you have a form there?
You'll send it to me too, okay? I have a form, yeah, but it's marked up already. I need to print out a new one. And can you indicate in that which are the questions that we indicated as moderate or large?
Yep, I've got them all checked on here, Mike.
Oh, you're sending a clean one
I'll
and
send you
your,
a copy. I'll send you a copy of what we did tonight and a blank copy.
sounds good.
And just to recoup, that's numbers 2, 3, 5, and 8.
Correct. Okay, Ashley, Mike, Jessica,
And Paula.
Paula. All right, I'll get those out to you. Just got to scan them. Okay, everybody, motion to adjourn?
I
Well,
so move.
wait a minute, I'm sorry. Just confirm next date. April,
You already did in your motion. Your next meeting.
I'm doing it again. I liked it so much, I'm doing it again.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn now. Mike? Ashley, you want to second that?
Absolutely.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hey, Don, did
Aye.
you do the minute?
I've got lots of time.
No, Don, did you do the minute? Approve the minutes from last
Yes.
time?
Move the minutes early on, Tanya.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I did that before we did anything else.
Good for you.
He did it while he was still sane.
Okay,